Hi everybody, it's Julia here, and today I have a painting to share with you. I have been so inspired by nature recently. Well, I'm pretty much always inspired by nature. I'm living out in the woods. But especially now when all the flowers coming out and all these new so green leaves are coming out, and I just love the contrast of this white against the really dark. So the paper I'm going to start with today is a Dollar Roni, and it's Aquafine 35 by 35 centimeters, cold press 300 GSM. And it's a really good student grade paper, I think. I'm going to use a pencil, and this pencil is reactive with water, so when you add water to it, it will sort of flow away. And I really like sketching with it. So what I'm going to do is, I have started here. I'm starting penciling in my flowers, and I'm going to go down from sort of a diagonal from the top right to the bottom left, sort of along the line there anyway. And for me, when I started this, it's not really about the flowers and making them look like a botanical sketch or making them look super realistic. I mean, when you look at it, you're going to see that they are flowers. What I wanted to get at in this painting are the contrast, that light against the dark. So it's really about the background in this painting. And yeah, so to get the really light flowers, I'm going to mask them off. I know some people don't use masking fluid. I use it all the time. It takes quite a long time, especially when you have so much detail like you have on this. But I find that for my workflow and when I start painting on the background, I really like just going over it and don't need to think about guarding a specific area or something. I don't need to think about that. So I'm masking off the flowers and leaves, and then I'm going to go back in here and add some dots. And these dots are going to be sort of like the pollen in the air, because, or there's a lot of it right now. Spring has definitely come to Sweden. Yay for that. So, like I said, the main thing on this painting is going to be the background, and that is the focus here. So I'm going to wet the whole piece. Now, this paper is 300 GSM, but it's going to buckle, and it's not on a block, and I haven't stretched it or anything, but I know how this paper works. I've been painting on it for so many years. I recently went over to arch paper, but I sort of creeping my way back to this one because they take color in a different way, and sometimes I prefer how this paper takes a color. In this case, it's a great example. I actually painted this painting, or this concept, or whatever you want to call it, on both, and I prefer how it looked on this paper. So anyway, like I said, the main thing for me in this painting is the background and the colors that I want to have here. So I'm going to start with green and coat the whole thing with that, and then I'm going to add in more color. So in the top, in the bottom right, there's going to be the heaviest, and then on the top left is going to be the lightest. And the colors I'm using here are the colors that I have. So in the blue I have indigo, I have French ultramarine, and I have phthalo blue, it's a green hue. And then for the yellows I use quinacridone gold, new gamboge, Hansa Yellow Light, and I also have quinacridone purple. And all of these colors are Daniel Smith that I have put into some full pan. And yeah, I mean, these colors really inspire me right now. I have painted 3 of these paintings, and I just finished an acrylic piece. So I am really loving this dark light feel right now. So the way I do is I keep in mind where I want my dark to be and where I want the light to be. I also know that in my light area I want to have that really light purple. And I'm just starting in, and I don't want it to be just one color or one shade to another. I want there to be layers, and I want there to poke through, and I want, when you look at it, to see there is yellow and there is blue, and that makes green, and then you have purple. So yeah. I really love painting this, obviously. I hardly ever paint anything twice, and this is the third. So yeah, I think that tells you a lot. I'm going to go in with more indigo here to sort of add a bit of shadow of grounding the flowers, just to make them feel like they're there and not just floating up to the surface. Yeah, and I really like how these colors work together because it could go wrong. I mean, I'm mixing yellow and purple and green and blue. But they are really pretty, and I didn't have problem with any of the paper on this dollar Rowan or the art paper of it getting muddy. Now, watercolors doesn't really get muddy because they're translucent, but I think you know what I mean. So yeah, here I'm just going to let it flow a bit, and yeah, and it starts to dry in different ways because that's the nature of this paper, which I like. And yeah, you just need to work with it. And I think that the idea that some papers are better and they just are better. I mean, there are some papers that are said like they are the best and you should use them if you can. It's true, I mean, they might be the best, but in some ways, you might prefer a quote unquote paper that is worse because you like how it behaves. And I think that's the example of this paper. I chose it for this because I know how it behaves and I like that. So, yeah, and I think the same with paint and brushes and everything. It's not bad, it's just different. So, anyway, uh, so the next step, when you've done the background, I'm going to go in and paint some leaves. I have some leaves here, as you can see, but I want more. And I'm going to use this quill, and I got it from Jackson. It's a 10/0, and I am in love with it. I have, I think I've had it for about 2 weeks, and every time I paint, I use it. So it's amazing. I want more. So now I'm going to add in some more leaves, and I'm keeping the masking fluid on so I can add in leaves like behind the flowers and add some more layers. And I'm going in with a very dark green, and to make that dark green I'm mixing in some purple because it's the opposite on the color wheel and you get darkness with that. I'm not going to explain color theory, no, I'm sorry. But this brush, it's so amazing to paint leaves with it. It's just like you put it down and there's a leaf. It's okay, you need to have like a bit of technique, I know that, but it is just so easy and it's such a joy to work with. So next time I'm placing an order on Jackson, definitely pick up another one. So here it is, and you can see what I'm talking about. You can see it's yellow and green and blue, and it's not just muddying together. They are laying on top of each other or beneath, and I love that. Okay, now we need to take it off. And you can see it's such a difference. And it's not perfect because I used that silicone brush. But yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect because it's not really about the flowers here. It's about the background. So the next step here, I'm going to take Payne's Grey and I'm mixing it with Shadow Violet, and I'm just going to add in some shadows, light shadows, because I still want to keep them very fresh and delicate. And then I'm going in with a very yellow green on the leaves that I masked off. And on the little buds, I'm using a bit of pink, and then on these little pollen things, I'm going in with a warm yellow. But I'm not filling them out. I'm trying to add yellow to it so you can see it's yellow, but then keeping the white so you get white and yellow in them. And yeah, that is it. Oh, my hand. I mean, I think you can hear how excited I am about this painting. I love it. And yeah, and here is the finished piece. I think I'm really happy with it. I think it's really fun. And there's a lot of colors and texture, and yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out. Of course, I mean, it's my favorite colors, blue, green, purple, so yeah, I don't think it can go wrong. Here's a bit of a close-up so you can see a bit how the color has moved. I also sprinkle a bit of green or flickered splatter That's the word. And here you can see the other ones. That is the first one I made. This one I made on arch paper. And it took the colors a bit differently. It's more mixed, it's more one coat, sort of. Hence to the, here you can see it's more separated in colors, sort of. But they all look different. The three look very different, and I love all of them. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have liked this video, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more.